Hello, everybody. Let me know, please, in the comments where you guys are tuning in from, where you're watching from. So, really big story, really huge breaking news that just happened. I'm just going to dive right in. So, the Israelis just assassinated Ismail Haniyeh, who, as you know, is a senior leader in Hamas. He's the head of the political bureau. And they not only killed him, but killed him in Tehran. So he was in Iran, in the capital, to attend the inauguration of the new president, and they murdered him. I mean, it's like they're begging for a war. You know, the Israelis are begging for a war. You know, so let me explain what's happened in the last 24 hours. So they not only killed Ismail Haniyeh, but just before that, they had struck Dahia in Beirut, and claimed that they had killed Fuad Shukr. So, you know, this is not confirmed. I've reached out and you know, the last I heard is that he is under the rubble. You know, his death has not been confirmed. But when it comes to Ismail Haniyeh, his death has been confirmed. I found out about half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. And yeah, it's confirmed. And Hamas have just released a statement. They've so their statement reads, so they said that brother, leader, martyr, fighter Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of the movement who passed as a result of a treacherous Zionist raid on his residence in Tehran after participating in the inauguration ceremony of the new Iranian president. So look, the Israelis struck Beirut first, and I think now I'm just again I don't know if this is true. I'm just providing my analysis here. I think that their assassination or their attempted assassination of Fuad Shukr didn't pan out, because we know that they killed children, right? As usual, they wounded about 70 people in Beirut, but we don't know for sure whether their assassination worked. So I think they were so desperate to draw blood, they went and then, just raised the stakes and said, okay, let's just go for Ismail Haniyeh. These people are psychotic. They're suicidal. They're not going to learn their lesson until Tel Aviv is reduced to a pile of ash. They've been warned and warned and warned, and they won't get it. Killing Ismail Haniyeh anywhere would be a red line, beyond red line. And doing it in Tehran, especially in the capital, during the while the guys are attending the president's inauguration. I mean, you have to laugh at the Israelis, because they don't get it. They keep trying to assassinate leaders. Like who is it that they haven't taken out? They got Qasem Soleimani. They got Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, with the Americans doing it for them. They got Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. They got the head of Hamas before. They've killed tons of people. When did that ever serve them? Every time they do this, they just make the resistance stronger. So, in the end, Ismail Haniyeh was martyred. Okay, he didn't just die; he was martyred, which is an honor. It's it's like being killed in battle. Effectively, that's what happened. So it's a huge honor that he is a martyr now. And I'll just remind you that they killed over a dozen. So more than 12 of his family members before. Do you remember that a few months ago they assassinated his children and grandchildren in Gaza? Because remember, he doesn't live in Gaza, okay? So he is a part of Hamas, but he lives outside of Gaza in Qatar, okay? So they had killed his sister, they had killed 3 of his sons, 4 grandchildren. These Israelis are sick. They love rape. They love murder. I mean, what do you want me to say? Just look at the last 24 hours. Look at the last 24 hours. We have Israelis rioting to defend rapists that have been arrested, rioting to defend the rapists, right? In the Knesset, publicly saying that they should be able to rape Palestinian hostages, and then killing children, bombing the oldest church in Gaza, doing assassinations. I mean, does this sound like a healthy society to you? It doesn't to me, okay? It certainly doesn't to me. So now we have to look at I'm just going to show you a couple of videos. There's nothing from Tehran, but I'm just going to show you briefly what they did in Beirut just a few hours ago. Okay, so again, 70 people wounded, 3 people killed, 1 woman, 2 children. Right, you can see the level of destruction. These are the 2 children that were killed, Hassan and Amira. And here you can see more of the destruction. I mean, they know this is a very densely populated area. They don't care. You know, the Israelis don't care. Well, when has that ever stopped them? You know, just to recap, in the span of in the span of a week, they've killed children in Gaza, they've killed children in Syria, and they've killed children in Lebanon. Well done. You know, well, great accomplishment, contribution to humanity. And you know, people are not deterred. You can see them here. They're chanting in support of Hezbollah and Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. So the Israelis, I mean, they really just signed their own death warrant. What do you want me to say? They don't understand how, you know, they think that this is like a pyramid structure that, you know, if you take out the leader, then everything crumbles. It's never worked like that, and it's never going to work like that. You know, again, obviously Haniyeh is a unique figure, but figuratively, you can find 1,000, you can find 1,000,000 Ismail Haniyehs to take his place, because they're going to keep the same struggle. They're going to keep fighting the same struggle. It's not going to stop. You're never going to. No amount of killing is going to prevent Palestine being liberated. It's not happening. Look how many they've killed in Gaza. Has that deterred anyone? On the contrary, it's galvanized the whole planet. So, you know, they can do whatever they can laugh like hyenas and think, oh, we killed Ismail Haniyeh. Yeah, well, you signed your own death warrant. You know, already a few hours ago when they did this with Beirut, it was becoming clear that they need to get out of Tel Aviv. You know, the people in Hezbollah were already saying, look, you know, if you want to try something, we're not going to elicit a measured response or a tempered response. It's going to be just as big or just as bad as what you do. We will reciprocate in full, if not go further. Okay? So you had bomb shelters being opened for the public in Tel Aviv because Israelis know what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. And the Israelis, they're still stuck in the 1990s. The Americans and the Israelis are still stuck in the 1990s because they think that, you know, okay, they have aerial supremacy, and that means everything, and that they can get away with anything. That's not the equation anymore. That's not how it works anymore. If you look at the Americans, they went and bombed Iraq as well in the last few hours. Okay, so just again to recap, Israel tried to assassinate, or did assassinate, we don't know yet, Fuad Shukr in Beirut, in Al-Dahiya. The United States bombed Kataib Hezbollah, which is not Hezbollah. It's a different. It's still part of the resistance, but it's not the Lebanese Hezbollah. In Iraq, they're part of the Hashd al-Sha'bi, and then the Israelis have now killed Ismail Haniyeh. Maybe it was a joint operation with the Americans. Who cares? I mean, we're talking about the same beast here, aren't we? So, how can you look at these events and then, you know, say that the Israelis don't want a war and they are not trying to escalate? Of course they are. They are absolutely trying to escalate. And if you really think they just murdered Ismail Haniyeh because of 12 Druze and Christian Syrian children, I mean, please go, you know, go away, really. I mean, this is ridiculous. It was already ridiculous when the Israelis were saying they were going to retaliate at all for something that happened in Syria to Syrian citizens, to Syrian children with Syrian names who are not Jewish and not Israeli. That was already ridiculous. And then even more ridiculous when they bombed Beirut, claiming that, you know, the children were the pretext. So now you're going to come here and you're going to sit there and tell me that, oh, they killed Ismail Haniyeh because of 12 children in Majd al-Shams. Come on, please. The Israelis are obviously trying to escalate. They've probably run out of options. But, you know, usually when you have empires or powers or entities in decline, because they're in decline, they become more desperate. You know, it's like someone struggling in quicksand. And so they lash out more, they become more brutal, they become less rational, they become more violent. It's a classic hallmark of a declining power. Okay, it's a classic feature of a declining power. The Americans are doing that, and the Israelis are doing that as well. So look, what's going to happen now? There are two ways this can go. But the result is going to be the same. You remember when the Israelis assassinated Saleh Haruri? They did that in Beirut, right? But he was Hamas. So Hezbollah did not go and respond in a way as if they had killed a Hezbollah member, but they still responded in a strong manner, and they hit the Meron base, right? So, which was a very significant target, and they hit it, and that was, you know, the retaliation for the assassination, and that was a milestone, so to speak. Now, when it comes to Ismail Haniyeh, he's not, you know, a member of the IRGC or an Iranian, but he was killed on Iranian soil. So there has to be some kind of, you know, it's like the embassy when the consulate in Damascus, the Iranian consulate, that happened on technically, I know it's an embassy, but it's technically on Syrian soil in the Syrian capital, let's say. But nevertheless, you know, it was Iran, it was also Iran being targeted. The same is true here. Although they're not the primary target, they are still being targeted. So, you know, there's going to be some kind of response. I think that the best thing to do, and this is what happened last time with the embassy bombing in this exact scenario, they didn't respond immediately. They let, you know, the Israelis worry and cook and simmer for 2 weeks, and then they responded. And, you know, that was that. And the whole resistance axis actually came with them. But this is really something completely different. Everything that I've talked about until now, the consulate, you know, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, because just to contemplate, you know, an F-35 striking an embassy is outrageous. But the Israelis are so violent, they keep, you know, raising or lowering rather the threshold. So my point is just that this assassination is so significant. This killing of Ismail Haniyeh, who's, you know, the second or third most important person in Hamas. I mean, again, we can argue about what position is the most important, but that's irrelevant. He is the top. He's part of the top leadership. He's top brass. You know, it's so significant that everything is going to change now. We could very well be entering World War III right now. This is not an exaggeration. I'm not joking. We've had world wars start over far less, really over far less. Okay, I'm talking, you know, mostly about World War I. But anyway, we could easily be entering World War III right now. This is really not a joke. It's that bad. It's that bad. I think the Israelis, the only strategy that they have left is this kind of thing. It's like, let's shock people. Let's, you know, annoy them. And get them fuming so much that they have to respond, and then, you know, we can get the Americans to come and back us up. That's what the Israelis are hoping. They can't do this by themselves. They need the Americans on board, right? And the Americans will only come to fight Iran if it's a really, you know, if the threat or rather the fight is actually there. So, despite it being, you know, a big assassination, the strategic thing to do, perhaps, would be not to give the Israelis what they want, which is exactly that, a you know, world war or a regional war, whatever you want to call it. Like I was saying before, regardless of whether this explodes and ignites now into a regional war, or whether you know, Hezbollah and Iran and Hamas do not escalate it, or rather respond to Israel's escalation, the current situation, even if it stays how it is, with, you know, Hezbollah hitting barracks and outposts and radar facilities, that is still advantageous. Israelis are pinned down in Gaza. They are pinned down against Hezbollah in the north. They can't do anything. You know, it's like slowly boiling a frog. The frog doesn't know it's being boiled. It's just going to stay in the water. So, you know, one way or another, the Israelis are going to bring about their own demise. That's the point that I'm trying to get to. One way or another, they're finished. They're finished. They're finished. This rapist, murdering colony is done for. It can't. We're never going back to, you know, how it was before October 7. We're never going back. The world has changed. It's had it with Israel, you know, murdering people and getting away with that. That is finished. This is over. This is over. So, you know, they can kill as many Ismail Haniyehs as they want. It's not going to stop the tide of change that is coming. It's just not going to do that. And history is provides that evidence. The proof is right there. They've killed at any point in history, they've killed resistance leaders, and it failed, and it failed, and it failed, and it failed. And Israel gets weaker and weaker, and the resistance gets stronger and stronger. That is the trajectory. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So, right now, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they started striking Tel Aviv or Haifa. And some people were a bit doubtful that the Israelis would be suffering or conceding casualties in any of these two, in either of these two, because oh my God, this is so significant. It's not even been a few weeks, 2 weeks that Yemen struck they struck inside of Tel Aviv twice in the same day. And what did Israel do? They bombed Hodeidah. Yes, it's bad, but still they couldn't really, that wasn't that big of a response. So we've already crossed that line. The Israelis are already in a corner, if you will. So you can pick any resistance faction you want. They killed Haniyeh, right? They killed Haniyeh in Damascus. Did that help them? No. They killed Sheikh Ahmed. Did that help them? No. They killed General Soleimani. Didn't help them. They killed Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. Didn't help them. They killed Arafat even. They poisoned him with polonium. Didn't help them. And the same is true with Saleh Haruri, and they can kill as many resistance leaders. Like I said, it's horizontal leadership and power structure, the resistance. It doesn't work like a pyramid. So you're not going to dissuade people. On the contrary, you're just going to galvanize them more. So like I said, we go back to the analogy of the animal, the beast thrashing in the quicksand and just bringing about its own demise more quickly. That's the only thing that's happening right now. They're really psychotic, though. I mean, they're really out for blood. I don't know how anyone with half a brain even could look at this and then say that the Israelis are rational actors, that they actually want peace. You're asking for shit. You're asking to be, wiped out with this. I mean, this is such an affront. It's so wild. It's so outrageous. And that's the effect. That's what they want. The Israelis, they're good. They come and they claw people and they lash out and then run back into a hole. That's the only thing they know how to do. It's the same thing in Syria. They go and they bomb and then they go back and with their planes and hide. This is the only thing that they know how to do. They go and bomb Gaza and then they run back. They don't know how to do anything else. So this shock assassination stuff, it's not going to work. It's never worked for them before. Honestly, I'm just I'm just stunned that the people in the military, in the Israeli military, because some of them know what this means. They actually understand strategy, unlike the politicians. They must be ripping their hair out right now. They must be ripping their hair out. They must be tearing their hair out right now, looking at this, because they know what's coming. And honestly, if people thought a few hours ago was bad, I mean, Christ. Anything could happen. Anything, all options on the table. We could see Iran striking the Israelis in 20 minutes or not. But like I said, the end result is the same. Honestly, they should take the advice. It's not my advice. It's the advice of people in the resistance, and just leave. They should just leave. This is not ending in a nice way. They should go back to Poland or Ukraine or Morocco, wherever they came from, and that's it. It's over. It's really over. Forget it. This is the final nail in the coffin. They're so dumb. They're so dumb. They could have just stopped committing genocide. They could have, pretended to respect two-state solution. I'm talking about decades ago. They could have at least put on a show. No. They had to be violent. They had to keep murdering people and stealing land and just, this is what happens when you have a spoiled brat like Israel. You have this bully that no one, puts in check. That's what happens. They get more violent and they become more unhinged. This is the behavior of an unhinged, psychotic actor. Someone who wants peace does not behave like this. Someone who is aware of their weak strategic posture and their weak military posture does not behave like this. They seek diplomacy. They seek to make peace. They seek to quell and calm and soothe tensions. They do not go and escalate. And make no mistake, Israel has escalated since decades ago. Okay, this is not even a question of just now. I mean, they're invaders. These people are invaders. They have come from a foreign land and invaded the country. Their very presence is an escalation. Stealing homes is an escalation. Okay, so we can look at this in any way you like. The Israelis are at fault, and they have lost it. It's like they're seeing red right now. They can't even grasp what is in their own self-interest. Because if you're really like Zionist, like an actual Zionist, and you want to have an Israel, you wouldn't even a Zionist wouldn't behave like this. These people have turned into something even worse. I don't even know what to call them anymore. They are completely nuts. Nuts. This is not going to serve them well. This is not going to serve them well. I suppose, in a sense, you could see a silver lining in this, that, they're just going to bring about their own demise more quickly, I suppose. But again, really just, I guarantee you there are people in the Israeli military right now who are, they can't believe that this happened. Because of how crazy it is. It's just, there's no good thing that's going to come of this. You're just going to get slapped and you're going to get punched in the face. I don't know what else to tell you. There's nothing else to say, really. There's nothing else to say. The Americans, I mean, how many billions do they have left to give you? How many billions? They're busy with Ukraine as well, Again, I'm telling you that there are weapons that the resistance have that we can't even contemplate or fathom. Okay, I know the Israelis have nuclear weapons. I don't give a crap. The nuclear weapons don't mean anything with asymmetrical warfare, by all accounts. Okay, and with all of the evidence, the Israelis are losing. We know this. They cannot hold any ground in Gaza. They are getting pummeled every single day on the northern front with Hezbollah. I mean, these people are suicidal. So. If you just look at how things were already going, they should have been running back and apologizing and making all amends imaginable. And no, they have to go in the opposite direction. Well, okay, well, since you insist. But once again, if we look at the front has moved. I'm talking about Lebanon now. The front has moved away from Lebanon and towards the Israelis, right, to their detriment. They're losing already in that respect. The settlers are already gone and put up in hotels. And they're never coming back. They're never coming back. 40% have said they're never coming back. And that was already a few months ago. I can't imagine them saying that. I imagine it's even more now who say they're never returning. So, the colony itself, the idea of Israelis being there is falling apart because many of them see the danger and they say, okay, screw this. I'm taking out my Polish passport and I'm going back. Or I'm taking out the German passport and I'm going back. Right? Which is the rational thing to do, the sensible, peaceful, diplomatic thing to do. Honestly, look at the Israelis. They're having to chase down drones that cost a few $1,000s with their jets because they don't have any functioning Iron Dome. What do you think is going to happen when this turns into a full-blown war, when Hezbollah and Hamas and Yemen and Syria and Iran and the factions in the West Bank are all striking Haifa and Tel Aviv and Eilat and Ashdod and Ashkelon at the same time? What do you think is going to happen? You think they can't do it? They already showed you they can. They've shown you this several times. We already saw on April 13th, the whole resistance axis firing at Israel. Israel had to solicit the services of the French Navy and the Royal Navy and the US Navy and 50 million navies to come and save its wet ass. So nothing is going, and that was just a small taste of what is to come. That was a small taste. That was nothing. That was nothing. What do you think is going to happen when the real fireworks begin? No, nothing is going to save you. Those are weapons that we already know exist. Those are old generation rockets and missiles. Those are older generation drones. Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, they haven't even brought out the new stuff. They've been saving that for this rainy day. They've been saving that for this rainy day, and they know all about you. They know all about what you have. Remember, it's the resistance that's catching up, not the other way around. So no matter what happens, it's the Americans and Israelis who are losing their strategic advantage and losing their military advantage, not the other way around. This is going downhill. It's going to come crashing down on the Americans and Israelis. It already is. So again, keep up the assassinations if you want. It's not going to serve you. On the contrary, you're just going to bring about your own demise quicker. By all means. I mean, it's not my opinion or something that I'm not even expressing my opinion or what I want. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you and reporting to you what is happening on the field and what is going on politically and militarily and strategically. This is the truth. This is the truth. If you want an update on the rapists, by the way, I'll just give you a small update. So they released one of them. This is the IDF, the Israeli troops. They released one of them, and then you're not going to believe this. These soldiers are being charged. Well, not charged yet. Sorry, excuse me. They're suspected of aggravated sodomy, of conduct unbecoming of a soldier. Give me a second. The list is long. Causing bodily harm under aggravated circumstances, abuse under aggravated circumstances. And do you know what defense they're arguing? Self-defense for sodomy, for aggravated sodomy, which is basically rape. They're basically saying we raped the prisoner in self-defense. Have you? This is so emblematic of the Israelis. We killed someone, you know, we had to assassinate these children in self-defense. We had to rape the prisoner in self-defense. Everything is self-defense. Everything is justifiable for them. So, you know, they're completely unhinged. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. These lawyers are officially arguing that they raped in self-defense. I've never heard of this in my life. And make no mistake, the list of Israeli crimes is very long. It is very, very long. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. So these are the kind of unhinged people that we are dealing with. I mean, I would be ashamed. I would be ashamed to be an Israeli. I would be ashamed. I can't understand how this entire society of colonizers just, you know, they go about their day justifying their behavior. Psychotic, completely unhinged and derailed, you know. It's crazy, really. So, in any case, we are moving into a new era now. We have entered a new stage of the war. Okay, let me be very, very clear. We have entered a new stage of this war. And I know that's been said before, perhaps even by myself, because every escalation was indeed quite marked and you know, significant. This one really takes the cake. So I know the Israelis are very proud of themselves, and they'll be writing all sorts of things like, "Oh, terrorist eliminated and liquidated." You know, they love using Nazi terms. They're very fond of them for some reason. I wonder why. But again, strategically, what have they achieved? They're fucking losers. They're failures. They're the worst army in modern history. They are a pathetic failure that is being pummeled on 7 fronts. They are never getting out of this. It's done. It is finished. Mark my words. They are finished. Understand this. It's over. It might take a few years, but it's over. I'm telling you. All of the Palestinians, all of the Syrians, all of the Lebanese will get justice. They will get their lands back. All of their crimes, all of these crimes committed by the Israelis, they're not going to escape accountability. Mark my words. Mark my words. So we've entered a new stage now. And, you know, the Israelis, they want to do this quicker. I'm sure Hezbollah and Hamas will be happy to oblige them. Really, they're doing it in Tehran. I mean, that's just, you know, they're obviously trying to send a message to the Iranians as well. And I'm laughing because you're going to see these talking heads in the mainstream media. I guarantee you this. They're going to go on television and then try to link what just happened, which is a clear act of war. Okay? This is an act of war. And they're going to try and justify that with 12 children in Majd al-Shams by calling them Israeli. Again, this is as if you have, you know, 12 children who are killed in France during World War II, and then they're calling those children German because Germany is occupying France. Well, obviously, those children are not German because they're not German. They're just not German. They don't have German names. They don't speak German. They have nothing to do with Germany. They're just occupied by Nazis. And that is exactly the case with these children. They are Syrians. They are Christian and Druze. They are not Jewish. They are not Israeli. They do not want to be Israeli. They reject Israel. They identify as Syrian, and they live on internationally recognized Syrian soil. So, you know, calling them Israeli all you want, it's not going to change that. And pretending that you know, can murder a senior leader in Hamas in Tehran during the inauguration of the president, and then link that to 12. I mean, this is the unhinged bullshit that we get to with mainstream media, with Zionist media. This is the psychotic stuff that they talk about and and conjure up. It's amazing. It's amazing. And people just sit there and they gobble this up like a bunch of, meatheads. Amazing. Wow. They will do it. I guarantee you. Just give it a few hours. You're going to see on CNN and so on, they're going to go and try and link these two things, right? Like they won't tell you the truth that Israel is psychotic, Israel is escalating, Israel is begging for a regional war so that Daddy America, comes and saves, well, not saves, but rather helps them in their foreign policy agenda of wiping out Iran, and expanding the Zionist colony. They're never going to tell you this because they can't tell you the truth. They have to lie to you. That's their job. They're only there to lie to you. Any criticism of Israel, no, can't have that. Israel is always justified. Everything Israel does is self-defense. Everything Israel does is perfect. Israel is, it's the chosen people. It's the only democracy in the Middle East. Yeah, I can see that, These children that they murdered today in Beirut, yeah, that was really democratic of Israel. Well done. So they murdered children in order to avenge children who are not Israeli. Mm-hmm. And now they're also murdering Ismail Haniyeh. Is that also something to do with the children? Yeah? I have nothing more to add. I'm done. It's like they've opened up the gates of hell. Okay, go ahead. I mean, whatever happens, happens. I'm just thinking when it comes to targets, I mean, again, it would be advantageous not to respond immediately, just for the sake of having the Israelis simmer in the corner, So we might see that. I know in the past, what would happen in the past is that the Israelis would kill someone in the resistance, and then the resistance would say, we're going to respond and at a place and a time of our choosing. And people would laugh at that and think that, it was an empty threat and, they're not going to do anything. That all changed now. When Hezbollah, when Hamas, when Iran, when they say they're going to do something, they do it. And they're not going to wait 10 years. They're going to do it very soon, but not, maybe not that soon, just to make you worry a little bit, keep you on edge, right? Keep you nervous. So, whatever they say is not going to be an empty threat. Make no mistake. But in terms of targets, I mean, Demona is like a last resort. Demona is the nuclear facility that the Israelis have. And funnily enough, when they were bombing Syria a few years ago, Syria fired a surface-to-air missile at the plane, and it kept chasing the plane, and it landed near Demona, like about 20 kilometers. So it could have caused a nice nuclear explosion by accident, because the Israelis have, a secret arsenal of nuclear weapons, which, is of course, I mean, very reassuring given how mentally stable they are, right? But in any case, Demona, I think Hezbollah have even openly said that before, that, that's a list, that's a target on their list. Not a first one. Probably is the last resort, but essentially it's Hezbollah's way of saying we have a nuclear weapon as well. All we have to do is fire a couple of missiles at your nuclear facility, and the fireworks will go off. Now that's really last resort. That's more of a really like last resort, the end of the world resort. Okay, because remember that Demona will of course impact Syria and Lebanon and Palestine. So there's a lot of bad sides to it, but. In addition, so besides that, you have the petrochemical facilities; those could be done. The shipyards at Haifa, Eilat is sort of a weaker target. I mean, Eilat is being struck all the time. There's nothing special. There's nothing left to bomb there anyway. There's nothing left to bomb there anyway. But Haifa and Tel Aviv, these are really at the top of the list. Now the Israelis are suspecting it's going to be there, and the logical thing is to do Haifa and Tel Aviv, especially with this. Sort of a response. But the best thing, I think, would be if they chose something else that they don't expect at all. And, either way, it's, I certainly think they're going to hit the targets. But, the Americans have sent an aircraft carrier now to the Mediterranean, to Lebanon. And I know that's supposed to sound like a big development, but they did this a few hours ago before they had killed Ismail Haniyeh. So, you remember at the start of the war in October, they sent as well, the Americans again, they sent aircraft carriers to the Middle East. They always do this. It's supposed to be like a passive threat. No one give a shit. It didn't scare or intimidate anyone. It didn't stop the resistance from hitting Israel and continuing to hit Israel every single day since. So it's not going to accomplish anything. I think this is just it's like when they tell people, evacuate Beirut. They do this all the time. Nothing new. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that the Americans and the Israelis are in a weak strategic and military posture. No one is intimidated by them. They don't deter anyone anymore. On the contrary, they're thinking they can't accept the fact that they are at a disadvantage. You know, Yemen are able to hit these aircraft carriers. They have done this. Remember, they hit Tel Aviv undetected. Israelis never knew it hit them. So don't tell me they can't hit the US aircraft carriers. They did, they can, and they did. So this can be dealt with. This is not a problem. And when you look at the missile, so the radius, the maximum range of all of the missiles in the arsenals of the resistance, anything is possible. The Iraqis can hit Eilat, they can hit Haifa, they can hit Tel Aviv. Syria can do the same. The Yemenis can hit any corner of occupied Palestine. The Lebanese can hit all the way to Eilat, and of course Tel Aviv and Haifa are much nearer. So that's definitely possible. They can hit any target. Any member of the resistance axis can hit any area in occupied Palestine. That is why now the equation has changed. Do you understand? We're not dealing with the 1990s anymore, where, all the resistance have are a few rockets that, once you've shot them, you can't do anything and they don't have that big of a range. Everything has changed. This is not a joke. Even Hamas, by the way, who are at a disadvantage because they're under siege, they also have things saved up for a rainy day that we don't know about. I'm willing to bet they have ATGMs and they've got missiles that they've saved up for a rainy day. But already with the rockets, they're able to fire, barrages very, very far now, thousands and thousands of rockets at a time. So, there's only so much you can do. The resistance have figured out ways to clutter and to overload the Iron Dome. So this is not going to help anyone. The same applies for, their sling and their arrow. The Israelis, they've grown very arrogant, very cocky. And that's one of the reasons why Hamas were able to succeed on October 7th, and why every single day since, the collective resistance have pushed the boundaries further. So what's happened now with these assassinations doesn't change any of that. This is not a setback for the resistance, okay? Understand this. Militarily and politically, it's not a setback. On the surface, yeah, it looks bad. Of course it does. And it makes the Israelis very happy. But that's the thing. They are obsessed with short-term victories, with short, bursts of victory. It's not a strategic victory. It doesn't mean anything for what's happening on the ground. On the contrary, strategically, it's a disadvantage because now they've given the resistance more of an excuse. They've given them more headroom to just keep pushing the boundaries. You understand? And that's what's going to happen. So, they've sealed their own fate. That's it. They've sealed their fate. So here, Elijah was saying that. Hold on, I wanted to show you this tweet from Elijah. Let me fetch it. Okay, hold on. So, yeah, this was a photograph he had shared earlier of who is supposed to be Fuad Shukr. Now, we don't actually. So, like he says, he was declared a martyr unofficially. Like I was saying, we don't know if he's actually dead. We don't know if this photo's 100% legitimate, if that was really him. But I just wanted to show it to you nonetheless. I'll keep you up to date on that. But again, with Ismail Haniyeh, they killed him. They did it. Hamas confirmed it. The IRGC confirmed it. And that's it. If they want a regional war, khalas. They're going to get it. They're going to get it. And I'll show you this tweet from Asad Abu Khalid because from the professor, because he puts this very eloquently. He says, in historical terms, it will be said years from now that Netanyahu guaranteed and expedited the demise of Israel. I have never been more certain. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Even Israelis agree with this statement. And they don't want to, but they do. Yep. So you see, Netanyahu's visit to Washington, that was him going there and trying to get, approval for, continuing his genocide in Gaza. And of course, behind the scenes, they go and have their other negotiations. And I mean, I wouldn't half be surprised if he didn't even tell them about these planned killings that they've just done. Wouldn't be surprised. But I think we all know that the escalation was coming. Like I said, it's all downhill from here on out. There's no way to get out of this. Honestly, if the Israelis were rational people, they would cut their losses. They would apologize. They would stop the genocide. They would pay reparations, give the land back. Do the whole two-state solution. But even that it's too late for that. No one wants that. Who could trust the Israelis anyway? But even if as desperate as that would be, if they were rational, they would do this as futile as it would be. But no, they have to go the complete other direction. Just like, yeah, let's just kill more Arabs every day. That's what they mean when they say self-defense. They want the right to murder Arabs with impunity. That is what Israel's right to self-defense means. Kill people. It's very Talmudic, right? This is what you have to understand about the Israelis. They are in the mentality of the Talmud, not the Bible, the Talmud. All right, it's a very dark mentality, a very, very sick mentality. One that promotes rape and murder and so on. So, just to add also, Ismail Haniyeh was killed with one of his bodyguards, right? So he was not killed just by himself, he was with his bodyguards, as is often the case. If you look at Qasem Soleimani and Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, they were not killed alone, they had their entourage with them, so there's another 6-7 people killed alongside them. So, this is Israel. This is Israel. Escalation, murder, rioting for the right to rape people. It's a decadent, disgusting colony. And that's all it will ever be. That's all it will ever be. Mark my words. It's going downhill from here on out. Once again, let me show you this tweet from Elijah, okay? He says, after its aggression in the suburbs of Beirut, Israel under Netanyahu is seeking a wider war involving Iran by assassinating the political leader of Hamas on Iranian soil. These assassinations have no strategic value, but a provocative aim to draw everyone into a reaction. Exactly. So therein lies the advantage of not responding immediately, which is again what we saw previously with the other escalations, which albeit were not this dramatic, but nevertheless escalations with the embassy bombing, with the assassinations in Beirut and in Syria, right? So they also killed IRGC inside Syria. So that was late 2023. There's an advantage in not responding and not being too hasty. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens. But again, mark my words, and mark Elijah's words. There's no strategic value in this whatsoever. There just isn't. You can find 1,000 Ismail Haniyehs. I mean, I'm speaking figuratively in the sense that people are just going to keep on carrying the torch. They're going to keep on going with the struggle. Of course, because you have millions of Palestinians who were turned into refugees, who are still living with refugee status. Haniyeh grew up in a refugee camp. Many Palestinians have. How can you expect them not to continue and carry forward the struggle? This is lunacy. This is just dumb. I mean, again, they think that it's, the resistance structure functions like their structure. That, oh, you have one powerful leader and then, everything just like falls apart. No, that's not how it works. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. And again, Ismail Haniyeh has officially been declared martyred in Tehran while attending the inauguration of the Iranian president Pezeshkian. And when it comes to Fuad Shukr, there's no confirmation that he was killed in Beirut. They tried to kill him, and they ended up killing 2 children and a woman and wounding 70 people. So, you know, nothing new. Again, I'll keep you guys up to date, and I always forget to plug the Twitter, but I'm not going to forget now. So all of the latest updates, you'll get them on my Twitter account, and I'll put the link in the description. And once again, they demonetized the channel. They punish me because I do this, because I don't feed you bull crap that they do on CNN and BBC. I give it to you straight. I'm telling you what's happening on the ground, and I'm going to criticize Israel, and I'm going to criticize the Zionists and the Americans. So they demonetized and punished the channel. So I ask you guys to please support my work. Please support independent media. Yeah, you can do it on PayPal or on Rumble or on Patreon or on GoFundMe. The links are in the description. And I greatly appreciate it. By the way, some of you sent in some questions and comments. So before I go, I'm going to read some of them. Just give me a second. So we've got one here. This is from Muhammad on PayPal, who says, "Thank you, Richard. Stay blessed and be safe." Thank you. And likewise, we've got another contribution on PayPal. This is from Jumani. No note, but thank you for the kind donation. And thank you to Ayaz as well. Thank you also to Ido, who says, "Thank you for all the good work you do. Much obliged. Much obliged." And we have another one here from Patel, who says, "YouTube podcasts. Thank you very much." And this is also on PayPal from Marianne. Thank you. There's to be quite frank, there's a couple of them that are not loading, and I'm very sorry. I don't know what to whether you guys sent notes or questions in there, but thank you to Stanley and to M and to Missy Paws for joining on Patreon. I appreciate you guys supporting my work in independent media. Thank you very much. I'm much obliged. So, Spall says, "Richard, don't criticize every American. I'm American and I support Palestine." You're right. When I say America, you guys know that I'm talking about the government. Okay, you know, we are cousins after all, are we not? Sani 403 says, "Thanks, Richard, for your hard work." Thank you, and for being here and for your kind words. And thank you also to Sarah, who says, "What keeps you motivated?" I mean, it's not a question of motivated. It's more of a question of outraged. Honestly, like I'm not talking about like this assassination. I'm speaking in general, right? I can't stand mainstream media. The way they lie, it is so disgusting. You know, I think it's a language thing. I was thinking about this yesterday, like with Noam Chomsky, he's a linguist, right? And see, how the hell did he get into politics from languages? And then I was talking about this with a friend, and I mean, it makes sense, right? Because when you're good with languages and you're proficient in linguistics, you start to analyze the way things are written, the narrative that's being put forward and proposed. So I suppose, having been forced, coerced into learning several languages, maybe that's got something to do with it, because I read between the lines, you know, and you guys know I always point out the language that's being used when we're flicking through articles. Just yesterday we were doing the BBC and this like rape thing, you know, instead of rape, they were saying severely mistreated. I mean, okay, I'm not going to get into that, but I think maybe that's it, you know. So it's more of a question of being observant, if I can say so. So Reborn says, "We'll just follow you elsewhere if they well, Rumble is the other one. I'm live streaming right now on Rumble as well as YouTube, so remember to subscribe there as a backup. It's rumble.com/Richard Medhurst. And as a matter of fact, I should also check the comments on Rumble. Just give me a second to scroll up over here with the big chat. And thank you very much to American Spring, who says we support you, and thank you to I don't know, it just whizzed past. But yeah, I imagine the Israelis are quite happy with themselves, but they're not going to be laughing, you know, when Tel Aviv and Haifa become targets. And again, I'm not you know saying that to gloat. I'm really saying that genuinely, as you know, out of concern, because at the end of the day, this is Palestinian land. You know, no one takes pleasure in bombing their own country. but it is occupied, right? So, and you know, they're asking for it. What do you want me to say? I mean, they should just use Ben Gurion and leave. I mean, that's what people in the resistance are saying. And I suppose that is the most logical thing to do, because things are going to get ugly now. They're just going to get very, very ugly. We've never been in a situation like this before. I can't stress that enough. We've never, ever been in a situation like this. It's escalated so much. I mean, forget the assassination for a second. Just look at what's happening in Gaza. Just look at Gaza. How is that not an escalation? How is that not an escalation? I mean, the videos that are coming out, the photos that are coming out, Jesus Christ, every single day, every day. It is enough by itself to be outraged. I mean, you know, yesterday, like, they're taking a girl out from underneath. She's crushed by a building. How can you not be outraged at that? How is that not an escalation? Right? So you see the double standard here, how, you know, we're supposed to, like, all, you know, bend over backwards and cry for their victims on 9/11 and October 7. But when they kill and they wound Arabs on a daily basis, you know, they want to normalize it. Well, they're not going to get away with that. This is a new world. This is a new world. This is not the 1960s. This is not 1948. This is not the 1990s. It's not even 2006. It's 2024. And they have no idea what is lying in store for them. They have no idea. Mark my words. Thank you, MA. Thank you to all of you for your kind words, and I'm very grateful for your contributions. Thank you on PayPal. We've got a donation here. This is from Martinez. Says, thanks, fam. Much obliged. And we have another one as well. Give me a second. It's still refreshing. This one is from Anthony. Thank you, Anthony. And we have also another contribution here from My Skin, who says, I'd buy you a goat, but for now, here's a thank you donation instead. Hey, man, goats are pretty useful. I mean, I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. And if you have to choose, please donate to the Palestinian charities and GoFundMe that are listed in the description. I'll paste them in the chat because those take precedence over anything else. So please donate to them if you have to choose. And I'd really appreciate it. So there's two Christian charities in Palestine, and the other one is a GoFundMe for disabled and displaced children or children with special needs in Gaza. Okay, so thank you to all of you for donating. Thank you for tuning in. Take care. Ma salama. Tahya al-Muqawama. Long live the resistance, and make no mistake, long live it will.
A is for
all men and women created by go. You know the thing.
B is for
I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
C is for
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
D is for
Don't worry, I'm so serious. Children, I love to hear them.
E is for
Excuse to walk by the dealer and say, no, I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
F is for
Friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life.
G is for
Go to Joe 30330.
H is for
Hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
I is for
I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
J is for
Just look at the record.
I have President Biden, Vice President Biden.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at my record and you still doubt about my commitment, then you should vote for somebody else.
K is for
Kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
L is for
The lion, dog, face, pony soldier.
M is for
Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
N is for
NATO.
O is for
The only African-American woman that's ever been elected to the United States Senate.
P is for
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
R is for
Rest her soul, and Although she's, wait, your mom's still alive.
S is for
Send a text to the word united.
T is for
Truth over facts.
U is for
Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future.
V is for
Don't vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much.
W is for
Wait. Oh, you're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay.
X is for
Xi Jinping.
Y is for
And you ain't black.
Z is for
She's sleeping? Women in our country has been classified as essential. So this is an issue.
By the way, this is my little sister Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh no, this is Val, you switched on me. This is my wife, this is my sister. They switched on me.